Yes, my G's. I'm currently reading a new book. It's my first ever Dostoevsky. It's called White Nights. It's a novella, actually, not really a book. But I finished the previous book, which was The Secret Agent by Joseph Conrad. That was really good, actually. It got very heated towards the end of the book. The first half was a bit slow, but the end was great. But yeah, excited to get tucked into this one. I had a little break from sound design. I was resting my ears because I punished them quite a lot recently, and then I actually got swimmer's ear, or like a little ear infection from the sea. And I have such bad luck. Like when I was younger, I would always put my head under the water, like diving in the sea, in swimming pools. Now, in the last 3 or 4 years, if I put my head underwater once, anywhere, I'll instantly get an ear infection or swimmer's ear or something that lasts for days, and so I just can't do it anymore. And I was in the sea, and I was like, I'd love to just dive under, but I was like, I can't do it though because I'm gonna get an ear infection. So I was like, I won't do it. And then 5 minutes later, a wave came and took me by surprise and splashed just a little bit of water in my ear, and straight away I had an ear infection again. And I was like, this was too annoying, too frustrating. I was just thinking about how I won't do it, and then it happened anyway. Oh my lord. Anyway, sorry, that's me rambling. That's the ramble over. Now I'm going to show you how to make a cool drum and bass beat. Some drum, not really, well, a little bit of layering, mostly drum programming, composition, using one shots, pretty much one loop, but the rest just one shots. And yeah, basically, I thought I could do a video where I didn't need to have the sound at full volume because I was still resting my ears, and yeah, with like programming, I didn't need like to hear it at super high volume to get a good sound, you know. But yeah, here's the loop, and then I'm going to break down how I've made it. But here's what it sounds like. All right, so pretty simple. I'm gonna like build it with you one stage at a time, right? So a drum and bass speed, 172 BPM, and for the kicks, so you can follow along if you like. You can use your own samples, and you can just flick between whatever sample packs you like, whatever one shots you like, and just keep switching out the sounds until you find some that fit and have a good vibe, you know. So I've got a kick on the first beat of every bar, right? So bar one, bar two, bar three, bar four, all have a kick on the first beat, and then on the fourth bar, I have a little kick also here on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5. So halfway between the fourth beat and the end, I've got another kick there, right? Okay, so a little pickup kick at the end, okay? Next, I've got the snare, and I haven't gone for a classic two-step pattern because a classic two-step pattern would be on that kind of rhythm, that kind of timing, but I've done the second snare a bit earlier. So the first snare falls exactly on the second beat, and the second snare falls between the third and the fourth beat, okay? So here's how it sounds then with the kick and snare. The snare is the same the whole way. You can repeat that pattern. Okay? Now we're going to do our main hat, all right? So that's the main kick, the main snare, and now we're doing the main hat, and the main hat is going to fall just one shot on every beat, okay? I could provide some modulation to this hat. I didn't get around to doing that yet, but I just picked one hat and looped it. So one hat for every beat, very easy. Yeah, if I wanted to, I could now, if I want to, because now I just realised I probably should have done this before, apply a little bit of variation, right? So maybe I can have that first hat on a semitone higher than the other one, so that they alternate between two semitones, you know? So if I loop that now, there you go. Let's play it with the kick and the snare. So the timing of our second snare, which is coming in sort of earlier than you would expect for a drum and bass beat, and also the timing of our very last kick, that falls on in between two beats. So those kicks and snares actually fall in between the hats, okay? Okay, so there you've got your main foundation for the beat. So quite nice and steppy. But what makes it horrible is the fact you can really tell it's just one shots bundled together in the hopes that it might sound okay. So how I tie my drums together is have a background depth layer which has a consistent noise the whole time that will act as a bed for everything to sit on top of. So in this case I've used a loop, and this is I want something washy, something backgroundy, something reverby, so that it's a bed for all the one shots to sit on top of. So that will inherently tie them all together, so it feels like a cohesive unit. You haven't got to gel everything together with compression. You can just layer things like this to create the cohesion. Okay, so if I play that with the kick and snare again. Okay, so it really nicely creates a great depth in the background, okay? And for this layer, I've actually also EQ'd it. I've taken out a lot of the low end, almost all the way up to 2,000 or 1,500. Because I just need that high end depth, you know, I don't need loads of low end extra stuff in the background. Turning that down a bit as well, right? So next, let's do some more layering. So we've got the kick, the snare, the main hat, and we've got the depth layer. So that is basically the foundation of the whole beat with a nice background as well. So now we're going to start to enhance it more. And firstly, I'm going to layer up some things. So I'm going to layer up a cymbal on both of the snare drums here, right? So I've got two nice cymbals that are quite atonal and they fit beautifully on top of the snare. So each snare hit has a slight variation in its layer. Okay, so playing that all together, now you've got a really nice extra splash of depth on the snares every time. And a little pitch change because the cymbals are slightly pitched differently. So it adds a nice interest to that snare. And then we're going to do one more snare layer just for the first snare. And this is not a cymbal, this is actually a percussion hit. And it's just a sort of little pop with a bit of a tail to it, you know. And it's a bit more subtle in the mix here. Almost adds like a touch more low end to the first snare, like, but very, very subtle in the background. But I do hear it when I pay close attention. I feel like it's got a little bit more weight on the snare for the first one there. Okay, but it's still a background kind of weight, you know. It's not like I'm layering a whole new snare on top of it or something like that. It's a background sound. Okay, next we're going to add in some shuffles, right? So this is now where we're going to really give the beat a lot more complexity. So I've got two layers for my two channels for the shuffles here. And I'm almost going to do a call and response pattern because I'm going to have these shuffles here on the first bar and then a break, and then again on the third bar and then a break, and then for the response I'm doing some more faster percussion stuff, but not with these same shuffle sounds, but with different percussive sounds, okay? And let's take a look at where I placed the shuffles here. So let's listen to them on their own. So you've got these two here, these two shuffles, they have a very, it's two hits. The first one is much more pronounced than the second one, so quite a loud shuffle hit and then a very, very quiet, almost like a little quiet hat or something, you know? And then this third one here is slightly different pitch and timbre, and then you've got another little one down here, which is almost like a little reversed shuffle hit. And these sit really in even more offbeat positions than the other sounds. We go more sort of offbeat than we ever have before so far in the loop, you know, because before, you know, we had this secondary snare falling halfway between a beat, you know, between beat 3 and beat 4, right in the middle. But now these shuffles are being placed on these sort of quarter notes here. So it's actually, you'll have the first shuffle on the second beat, and the so if that's the second beat, and then 1 tick, 2 tick, 3 ticks to the right, then you've got the first shuffle, and then you've got the next one on the third beat, but then 1 tick to the right. So just using the grid here, just to go a couple of ticks, 1 tick to the left of beat 3, and 1 tick to the right of beat 3. Okay, so that's where the shuffle sits. That's where the main start of the shuffle sits. And then over here, you've got the next part. So there's a little gap for the snare. And then you've got just after beat 4, 1 tick to the right. There you've got the next shuffle coming in. And then you've got this reversed shuffle, actually sort of on the last tick just before you go into the second bar. Okay? I hope I explained that well enough. You can kind of see on the grid where they are. But the shuffles really come into their own when you put them on these like sort of quarter ticks, if you like. So you know, if you imagine each beat is split into 4, then in the a quarter of a beat, whatever that is called, a quaver or something like that. But yeah, you know what I mean. You can see exactly where they fit in and how they're still sort of on the grid, but in that smaller offbeat opportunity there, right? And then we do a similar thing then with the next percussion hits. And these guys, they're on a slightly different timing and a slightly different sound as well. So sort of more higher pitched percussion. They sound a little bit less like ghost snares and more like actual, other different types of percussion sounds. More with a higher tone on them as well, you know? And so where do they fall on the grid? Well, the first one, these two first ones are not so offbeat. They're more like kind of on the beat still. So these ones are halfway between the first and second beat, and then halfway between the second and third beat. Okay. And then so this first part here is fairly slow, and then it just gets a little bit faster as you go over to this second part of the section here. So the second percussion hit here, it's slightly different to the first one, a little bit more atonal than the first one, and that falls on the third beat and then 1 tick to the right, and it's got a little double hit. And then you've got this one down here, which is it's a bit of a duller percussion hit, and that one's also really off the beat. That's on just 1 tick to the left of the fourth beat. And then finally, you've got another little one that sort of resolves a new percussive hit that kind of resolves, and that's actually between between the fourth beat and the beginning of the third bar there, right? So those guys, dum dum da da dum dum. That's how it kind of sounds, you know? So you play just the shuffles together, because that just loops and repeats then, you know? Okay, so they're two different shuffle, two different percussive sounds. You know, the first shuffle kind of sounds more like ghost snares, and it's a bit more of a classic timing. And then the second percussive sounds, they're more like stranger, weirder percussive hits, and they have a different rhythm as well, actually sort of playing a bit closer in line with the beat and then going a bit faster just for the second half, okay? But obviously it's all in context, isn't it? So let's play it back again with everything. And that's how you can do these kind of fast percussive fills just using one shots. And the trick is really about just moving around the particular shuffle into those spots where the flow and the energy of the drums suddenly becomes really exciting, you know? And it's also a case of not only doing that, but also picking the right shuffle hit that has a particular character and a particular pitch, and then arranging them in a way so that they almost create like a bit of a melody, you know? So they have like a tonality on them, and they also have like a melody, you know? So it's like kind of going like the first one's like dum da 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 dum dum, and then the second part's like din 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 da 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 dum, kind of like that, you know? Dum 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 dum. Dum dum da 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 dum dum dim dim da 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 dum dum. It's kind of like that, you know. Dum dum da 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 dum dum dim dim da 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 dum dum. It's hard to, obviously I can't sing it properly because it's so fast, and I don't really, my brain can't quite keep up with it, but that's the whole point, is that's why it sounds good, because your brain can't really keep up with what the percussion's doing. So it's like something unnatural in a way, but that's like the drum and bass sound in some circumstances, you know. It's like an unrealistic fast percussive fill to keep things really high energy, you know. Like realistically a drummer would have a hard time doing that because it's too many it's actually like too many different sound sources at once. Like you wouldn't even really be able to sit, you'd have to sit in a circle with like 17 different pots around you, you know. So you obviously could be done in real life, but I mean realistically it's a digital programmed drum beat, you know. But that's drum and bass, isn't it? So the last sound here is just like an impact cymbal, and this is just for the the first bar and the third bar to give like a bit of an extra impact to like the key parts to the drums, like right at the beginning and then halfway through again, you know. And then there we have it, my little drum loop for you guys today. And it's not me trying to show off and say like, oh, look how cool of a drum beat I did. I'm just trying to, this is like how I would try to make it as interesting as I can, just using one shots. And as I already mentioned, it's just a case of like moving them around and finding a little, almost trying to create a little complex rhythmical melody and a call and response using like percussion hits. And you can use any sample pack. Like I just grabbed the first one that I found. But you can compose stuff to have like a nice vibe and energy if you do it like be very mindful of like the timing and the sound selection and how it contributes to the flow. All right. So that's the fat drums. I clipped the drum channel. I turned up the whole drums together, and then I added a lovely Lufticus EQ high-end boost, a great plugin, one of my favorite free plugins, just for an extra high-end squeeze. All right. Oh, and there we have it. I've just muted it, and that's it. All right, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed my little drum programming video. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments section down below. Thank you very much for watching today, my G's. Hope you learned something. I'll quickly remind you as well, if you guys ever want any production lessons, you can book with me via the links down below. Come along and join my Discord via Patreon as well. And if you want any presets for Faceplant, Vital or Current, check out my website for those. All right, mixing and mastering work, send me an email. DJ bookings, send me an email. That's enough from me today. Thank you very much. More from me soon. Much love.